I do believe we're back. This is Stephen Wener of Whissel Realty, brokered by EXP on 1170 AM The Answer. And I just wanted to further elaborate on the things that we touched on just before the break. And Bill was kind enough to share a book with me that he thought I'd be interested in, which is The Ultimate Selling Power by Dr. Donald Moyne. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And it's just interesting when you start talking about things you're passionate about and you share it with like-minded people, and then they start like busting out the books, right? So Paul's big on books as well. I've received numerous books from Paul, so thank you. And just to recap what I was talking about, you got to want the drive to be a professional so you can stand out for the people that you're looking to serve. I can't teach you that. You just got to find your why in that. But once you're looking at that drive and you want to just sharpen and shape up your conversational abilities, your skills, your conversion process, or just excitement and empowerment to the people that you're talking to, I developed what I call a qualifying acronym. And every business has one where there are just certain things that are necessities. You cannot skip over those things, period. In my world, if I didn't know where somebody wanted to live, I could sell them, take them to the wrong part of town. And they're going to ask me, why are we here? What did I just do, right? And people do it all the time in my business. It's fascinating. I'm like, how? I'll keep, it's like you're resetting me back. It's that movie with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah.
Keeps really, I'm like, how do I keep hearing that from people? So then there's our price point. Everybody's got kind of a wish number, but the reality is, can they back it up with either they're paying cash or they're going to finance it? And have they spoken to the right professional? Like, you do a massively deep dive in people's worlds. You don't just, send me your W-2. I want to check your FICO. No, man, when you sit down, you interview the client.
Yeah.
That's what I love about you that makes you different, right? You're going to get the whole story, the real story, not just the I want to buy a house story. Yeah. Okay, that's a big component, but why? Why are you doing this? Let me connect with you, right? Get on that level. And you're going to validate it for them. We used the Zillow mortgage calculator. We think we're good. And our FICO's like 740. And I'm like, oh, by the way, you had a parking ticket you haven't paid for 9 years in a library book that's out there.
Yep.
Like, that counts. Yeah. Right. So, the darndest things that we think shouldn't factor in. Well, when somebody like Bill comes in and they're going to check, on let's just say it's for your house. You're going to pull a clue report and make sure that there wasn't anything damaging against the property.
That's right.
In the
100%.
past, right?
Yeah.
And you need those things to figure out if you're buying a lemon or not. And some carriers might pull their clue report and go, not so much, right? You need to know these things. So that's why when I say professional, I'm talking, you need to know what that word means. I can't teach you that word. When you become a professional, you know what that is. Or when you strive to be one, you know what that is. Because when someone like Bill or Paul or myself get into your world, we're not just selling you a house, selling you insurance, or getting you a loan. Right, so I teach the connecting aspect in that, and the framework allows you to do that when you talk about the location, price, mortgage agent, the motivation. Like, why do you have to move? My landlord gave me notice. I lived here for 11 years, and I have to move. I need to stay in the same school district. It's going to be really challenging. And I'm like, whoa. Let's just slow down. Let's take all your anxieties away. We're going to build a picture for you, and let's just connect to everything that's important and figure out the timeline. And you have that kind of a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden you chill them out, right? They feel like they've got a partner.
Yeah.
And that's why I was talking about your sport, your the way you work as a team, because when stuff's going wrong, when you guys are down, right? How do you talk about getting ahead again? You guys have to rally. There's a spirit, there's an energy when you're working as a team, right? And I want to share that with people. That's why I kept harping into, you're a team player. You want to be the chief. You want to be the go-to person. If you've got a score, give Bill the ball, and if Bill sees an opportunity with somebody that's running beside him that might have a better opening, the ball's going to that guy. You don't have to be selfish, right? But help the person that you're trying to help the most by your abilities. So when you've got that framework and you learn to mirror and match somebody, right? Their tonality, their language. Somebody swears, you might want to swear a little bit, right? It depends on how prim and proper you are. But if someone's prim and proper and they're all upright and sitting right and they want to see you in a suit and tie, probably going to want to adopt your character a little bit to that personality type, because there's something about that that's important to them. And the service industry has nothing to do with us other than being a professional and always driving into what's my character and how do my ethics factor into this. So when you start to do those things and you start to resonate with people, it's like magical, right? There's just a magic that happens with people because then the experience becomes humanized as opposed to, yeah, this is my mortgage guy. That's my insurance. No, this is Bill. Bill also does my insurance. You probably talk to him about insurance too. It's a pretty cool opening when somebody does that for you, right?
Yeah.
And then as we empower people with language and get them excited about the process, when you don't have to worry about those three things anymore, then I teach people about finding opportunity. Because what's really interesting is there's a story behind a story all the time. What somebody's saying versus what they may mean can be completely separate, different continents. So if you're able to read the physiology when you're talking to somebody, their breathing patterns may change. They may have micro movements of their eyes that squint and their head turns away and they look confused for just a millisecond, or they pull away from you, or their body shifts away from you, right? You're looking for either positive or negative as far as physiology. When you can read that stuff, it's so powerful because now you can stop the entire process and go, hey, Jim, what happened? They're like, what are you talking about? Well, I just said something and you kind of reacted a little bit just differently. And I need to know what that is because I'm not moving forward until I know what just happened. And people are like baffled. You read my mind and you're not doing anything. But when people are in alignment, they nod their heads yes. Their eyes open up. They're glued to you. It's like their whole body's positioned to you. They're not fidgeting. They're not bouncing their legs. There's just a calmness and there's a look of absorption. That's what's so fascinating. Versus when you're out of alignment, all kinds of things are going on, right? Legs are bouncing, looking at the watch. Their eyes are shifting. People are walking behind you. I always gauge it like that when someone's walking behind me. And if their eyes start following the person, I know that I'm out. Like for a minute, I got to get them back. So it's so fascinating when you can watch these physiological cues that will take you back into rapport because you call them out, and that's all you got to do. Not in a bad way, but hey, what's going on? And then I teach self-confidence, like massive self-confidence, right? And the way to learn or earn massive self-confidence is through immersing yourself in your industry. When you first started in loans, there was no way you are the professional you are today. Same thing with insurance. There's such a learning curve, and same thing in real estate, right? But when you learn all of these things, and a lot of them have to happen by error, right?
Yes.
We have to be painfully reminded that we never want to feel that particular pain again. And when you can become acutely aware of what's important to people because of what you also feel is important to yourself, and you repeat these patterns that are working, then you know when you're walking into something, you have this confidence that A, you're going to take care of that person, B, you know most of the objections that you're going to get hit with, and C, how to steer and navigate that for them, walking side by side. Not just this, it's me, my insurance, here's my policy, sign it, I'll leave, thanks a lot, call me in a year, bye, right? That doesn't happen. So I teach people that framework, and I've been teaching the real estate boards in the past week. I've taught both San Diego County and North San Diego County Association of Realtors. You know Scott Jablow?
I do.
I taught his firm. He wrote me just an amazing letter of reference, and he's a tax partner in one of the largest independent CPA firms. I did that webinar for Chime yesterday, and my goal is to speak in front of 10,000 people and motivate them to learn that there is a way to have a framework, how we actually resonate, connect, move forward, become friends, and then have those friends become our walking billboards in the future that are like, you just have to call Bill. Well, I got an insurance guy. You don't understand. You just need to call Bill. Well, what's he gonna? Just call Bill. And I have clients like that, right? I believe you have clients like that. I know you have clients like that. I'm so passionate about talking about this stuff because so many industries have reputations that are trash, right? Like real estate's at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to reputations, right? Lending isn't that much greater. I don't know much about insurance really, except people don't want it. Why do I have to pay for this, right? But that's my framework in a really tight nutshell without having to show a slide deck and things. But I'd love to get your interpretation on what I'm talking about, because you shared a book on the little nugget that I gave you. And Paul, I know you've listened to me numerous times, and we only have a couple minutes left, but I'd love your interpretations.
So I'll go. My mom was an educated lady, and always stressed the importance of your vocabulary. And So from an early age, I did crossword puzzles with her. Wasn't exactly excited about them in the beginning, but I learned the power of words. And she told me, when you raise your vocabulary, you will raise yourself in society and status and who the people you hang out with. And so that was always a priority for me. I read books like the one that I recommended. I think Napoleon once said, men are ruled by words. And so your vocabulary, how you use it, instead of it being a word salad, right? There is a specific syntax and protocol and roadmap. I call it a roadmap as to how you interact with someone to gain trust, rapport, and ultimately have influence in their life.
That's awesome. And that's amazing that you learned that at an early age. So good on your mom.
Yes.
And Paul, we've got about 30 seconds or less before we're off the air.
Yeah. I think one of the other really cool things that comes out of it is when you go through that framework, you understand how to serve that person at the highest level, because you know their motivations, you know where they want to be, and so that's one of the things that I think sets apart someone, like you talked about the quarterback. How do you quarterback it if you don't know where you're going?
Right.
So that's probably the thing that stands out. That's really a way to set yourself apart. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, I appreciate all of you sticking around for the hour. I'm Stephen Wener of Whissel Realty, brokered by EXP on 1170 AM, The Answer. Thank you all.